Hello, and welcome back to the Kesgrave Panthers Podcast. Today we have whole rider and 3 times British champion Andy Angell. How are you feeling today, Andy?
I'm pretty good. Bit more nervous about this than I get racing, but we'll be all right. I'm sure you'll look after me.
Yeah. So,
You boys good?
Yeah, good.
Good.
Yeah. So, how did you get into cycle speedway?
Completely by accident. It's my granddad used to take me out on my BMX when I was 11, 12 years old. We used to go for a little walk under the Umber Bridge, Country Park, and that sort of stuff. And we went down the river one day, found the track. I used to race around. He used to time me. He used to pretend I was a speedway rider, skidding around the corners and stuff. Went down one week and the Hull manager was there. I was 12 at the time, and he said, "Come down on the Sunday. We've got a match like." So I went down, watched the first team, raced for the second team, and I've raced ever since. So 21 years.
So is that the same track that you still ride at now?
It is, yeah.
Do you like that track, or do you think there could be improvements made to it, or what do you think?
No, I think it's a great track. I think it's a very good racers track. It doesn't particularly favour fast gators. It's a good track where you can pass anyway. There's a lot of lines on both corners. Banking's good. The grip's good. It's just a good racing circuit, in my opinion.
So do you have like a favourite track?
Obviously, Hull. I think you'd be hard pushed to find a rider who doesn't pick the home track as the favourite. But I have got other favourite tracks as well. Wensfield's always been a big favourite of mine. And I've always liked it down in Poole as well.
Yeah. Would you say you like tracks like that because they're big? Like, do you say you're not very or not as good around smaller tracks, or?
I think they suit my training, they suit my fitness. The bigger tracks. I've always said I've never been the best rider. I've never been the best bike handler or anything like that. But I've worked hard and my fitness has always been high. My strengths have always been on the bigger tracks.
So, like, are there any other things in tracks that you dislike?
What was that? Sorry.
So, like, are there any other things to do with tracks that you dislike, like not just the length of them?
I'm not a big fan of how Zach mentioned it last time he was on. The tightness of the horsepath track always catches me out. I like tracks with banking. I'm not a big fan of tracks that are flat. So places like Stockport, I find it hard to pass around Stockport because it's so flat. I don't dislike all small tracks. I seem to always get on well at Kesgrave, for example. That's not a massive track. I raced in the British qualifiers there in 2015, I think. And I did all right in the semi. I think I got 18 out of 20. So it's only the second time I've raced that track, actually. But I enjoyed it. It was good.
Yeah. You say you're 3 times British champion, but like, what would you say is your most memorable moment in cycle speedway?
21 years worth to pick from. I'd say quite possibly my first time racing for England, which was in the Home International at Great Blakenham in 2008, so 13 years ago. Noah, you've just had your first call-up. Congratulations for that.
Thank you.
Sure, it's deserved. Not seen you ride a bike myself, but I'll hopefully see you at Astley.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a meeting that sticks in my memory. I remember getting the call. I was stood in my bedroom, my mum's house, and I got the phone call from Pete Barnes, who was a manager at the time, and it was a special feeling, to tell you the truth, very special.
So just like you say you have won the British title 3 times. Has one of them like stood out for you as like being more of an achievement as the others?
My second one, I think, the 2012 at Newport. It was the one of the 3 that I don't think was down to any luck as such. my first one at Norwich was a little bit 50-50 with the decision from the referee in the last race. My 2014, my third title in Bury was actually the lowest score to ever win a British final, so that was a little bit on the lucky side. But 2012 was the best one for me. It was the one I feel like everything on the day went right as it should have done, and I walked away with what I felt I deserved on that day.
As you said, like everything on the day went right. Would you say like you may not have had to work as hard for that one, or would it have like you put in the amount of work equally for all of them?
Oh no! I put in as much work every year. I think 2010 was my first sort of big success in the sport, really. And I finished second in the British, and that was the first season I started training properly. Started training hard enough to actually and being up there, and that carried right through till 2018. Really, so I've had 8 years of training, hard 4 or 5 times a week. So I didn't. It wasn't that I worked any less for the others. It was just that I think the luck element was certainly less in the 2012 one.
Do you remember how many points you got? And the one that you said that you were the lowest point scoring winner. Do you remember how many points you got in that meeting?
8. I think it was 14. It was either 14 or 15. I got 2 firsts, a fourth, a third. It must be 14. I think it was 14.
Yeah. So after that meeting,
no run-offs either. It was a straight win.
After that meeting, would you say you were like a bit relieved? Is it like wasn't a very high score? So were you like surprised to win or relieved, or what was really?
Very surprised. I finished on 2-1s, so my first 3 rides was before the interval, and I won my first race. So I got off to a good start, and then I run a last. But a lot of people was doing the same sort of thing. They was winning the race, then running a last, or they was starting with a last and then winning the race. And I was at the interval. I remember a good friend of mine, Gavin Parr from Newcastle. He pulled me to one side and he said, "Why is your head down?" So I've run a last and a third in my last 2 rides. It's gone. He said, "Well, finish with a couple of wins off your 2-1s, and you might end up on the podium." And as the meeting went on, I realised he was right, and I won my last 2 rides, and I was looking at certainly a run off for a podium position. And then everyone just sort of, I've always described it as everybody else sort of felt a bit or had a little bit of bad luck. Lee Harris got a tape exclusion. Paul Aird slipped off his pedals and had a big crash. There was a couple of exclusions in the last race, so I actually won it from the pits. I'd finished my races, and when I finished my races, I was thinking I might squeeze on the podium here, and then just sort of watched it all. It was very, very, very strange way to win.
What's the biggest event you've ever ridden at?
The one that stands out from the rest for me was the 2015 World Final at Wensfield. That was a massive meeting, massive crowd on one of my favourite tracks. So that was a big meeting for me, that one.
Yeah. How well did you do in that one?
3 races in, I'd dropped 1 point. I had 2 wins and a second. And then my 4th race, I missed the start and messed it up, basically.
Do you think, were you affected by the bigger crowds when you were riding?
Yeah, definitely. As long as you're cheering for you, of course, not booing you.
Yeah. So do you like prefer it when there's not a crowd watching you? Do you feel like you perform better under the pressure or not under that pressure?
I personally like racing with bigger crowds. I think the atmosphere certainly brings out a little bit more in you. You'll discover yourselves through your career that the bigger the meet, and I think the more adrenaline there is there.
Do you things to keep yourself calm?
Sorry, could you just say that again?
Do you do things in the pits to keep yourself calm?
Not really. For big meetings, sometimes I've made phones in the pits and just sort of try and zone out a little bit, try and stay away from the whatever's going on around me. But I don't really. I normally just sort of carry on as normal and just talk and have a laugh with the other guys, and that's it really.
For that world final, like, how did you prepare for that? Was it like the same as any other meeting, or did you do like anything special really?
On the day or
Just
during training?
Anything leading up to it really?
Leading up to it, I was working in a gym at the time, so I literally had all the time in the world to train and prepare myself. So physically, I was in the best shape I've ever been. I think my bike ability was the best it's ever been. The lead up to the event, I just had a normal day. Got up, had a normal breakfast. I took a drive out to Wensfield to watch the juniors and stuff. So I was just sort of chilling around the track, just soaking it all up really. Nothing different to any other meeting. Just went along, watched, and when it was time to get warmed up, then we start to think about the racing. But it was just a normal day up until the tape scope really.
Would you say you have a favourite team riding partner?
Yeah, there's a few to be fair. I've always enjoyed racing with Paul Aird when we've raced for England and Great Britain and things like that. He's a good man to sort of. He's the man you can rely on going and getting the race wins if your job's to pull in the thirds, which is always nice because it takes a bit of pressure off. If you look forward and you see a teammate winning a race, worst case scenario, you're going to get a 5-all if you come last. So it takes a little bit of pressure off there. So he's a good man to have on your side. He's a great gator. So if he gets that first corner first, that's good. Hull-wise, a long time ago, when I was sort of up and coming, there was a few riders who was a big influence to me. It was Team Road missed to some 7.3s. The whole boss Andy Schofield, he's about as good as they get at our neck of the woods. Like he was a very good team rider, very good. He'd be disappointed if he left with anything other than 4 or 5 bonus points. He was just that good. So yeah, I've come up across some good riders. I've come through my career with some good riders, so it's made a big difference to me.
Would you say like you try to like replicate anybody that you've ever ridden with, seen ride, or do you think you have like your own style of riding?
I think I've had a few different styles over the years. 10 years ago, 11 years ago, I was very fit, light. I was about 5 stone lighter than I am now, and I rode a much lighter gearing. I was just fit, and I could do sort of 4 or 5 races on the bounce without really worrying about it. Now I think I've gone more sort of the powerful and explosive, but for shorter periods. Back then I could ride 10 laps at full speed. Now I'd be lucky if I get 4. But I think that my 4 are quicker now than there was then. But that's stemmed from riders, like you say, who I've raced against and raced with. Gantrak was a big influence of mine. He was Polish. He's been European champion. And he was, when I was, let's say 10 or 11 years ago, when I was 10 stone wet through, he was a big, muscular, powerful guy. And I looked up to him quite a lot. I thought that was what I wanted to be. So that's kind of how I've modelled myself, certainly in recent years, to be a bit more like him.
So you said you changed the gearing on your bike. Do you like to experiment with things like that, or do you just keep your bike how it is?
I like to look for the little things that are going to give me an edge, or the little adjustments I can make that'll suit my style. So my legs don't spin as fast as they used to, for example. So I went back then when I was younger and fitter. I used to ride a 33-18, but my legs just spin like mad. Now I'm a little bit older and the way my training's gone, I can't spin my legs like I used to. So I ride a harder gear. It's obviously harder to push on the track, but I feel I get a bit more speed out of it.
Mm.
So I do. I'm always looking for ways to sort of match my bike to how my training is and what kind of rider I want to be.
So you say you've been inspired by a few people, but like, what's the best advice you've ever been given?
Smile. Always smile. At the end of the day, we're all riding our bikes because we enjoy it. If you enjoy something, you're naturally better at it. There's less pressure because if you just always remember that you're there to enjoy yourself, you race with a smile on your face. There's no stress really. You race your bike because you enjoy racing your bike. And if that stops, and I've lost sight of that a lot of times over the years, certainly between sort of after the World Final in 2015, I really fell out of love. I put a lot into that and didn't get the result I wanted. So I lost a bit of the love I had for racing. I spent a couple of years with frustrating results, and I want as fit and I want the rider I wanted to be. And I think when the 2018 British finals was at Hull, that gave me a bit of a kick up the backside to just start enjoying my racing again. And now I'm enjoying it as much as I ever have.
So do you remember your first ever meeting?
I do, but I can't tell you who it was against. As I said earlier, I went down to watch a Northern League match, and I got talked into. Well, didn't take much talking into. I'd gone down hoping to have a go, and I raced in the Northern League combination fixture. So I was only 12. I borrowed someone's bike, borrowed someone's gloves and helmet, and I raced. That was at Hull. It was at Hull, so that was the first track I ever rode. First competition I rode was the Northern under 13s, I believe, at Heckmondwike. I think I finished third off the top of my head. So that was my first individual competition.
So you say that you borrowed that person's bike, but like, what bike do you ride now?
I ride Frame and Forks from Marcin Szymanski in Poland. He designs his own. I bought one off him in 2015, and touch wood, it's still going. It's not broken yet.
So the new 27.5, the new bigger wheel bikes, the frames are being made now. Are you thinking about possibly trying one of those out?
I don't think so. I like what I've got. As long as nothing goes wrong with it, I think it's good for me. If tyre choices and stuff become a problem, then maybe it's a bridge I'll cross. But I think for now I'm all right.
Yeah. So
I do like the look of them. They do look good.
Yeah. They take a long time to get used to be honest. Yeah.
Is that where you boys are on? Is it?
Well, no, we've had a couple. We've had a
couple of goes.
Charlie does do it sometimes, but only a couple times around the track after training. But yeah. So I think we've got through quite a bit today. So thank you for joining us, Andy.
No problem. It's a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being with me again, Charlie.
Thank you for setting all this up again.
And we will see everybody next time. Goodbye.